I am good. I'm recovered. I'm good.
Now what happened? Why you recovered?
I had a great time. Obviously, I went to McG's podcast, 1 million Road to 1 Million thing. It was an amazing, amazing experience. I think every digital content creator, not even digital content creator, every content creator in this country needs to take a moment and acknowledge what the significance of what that boy has done. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to like him. You don't have to like Podcast and Chill and all of that thing. But what he has done, and as somebody who's been in the industry for more than a decade, I've seen how the powers that be in the industry sometimes hold that against us. You know, they treat us horribly. You have to suck up to people simply because if you don't suck up to these people, you're not going to be on TV. You're not going to get a job, in a media house or whatever, right? And this boy was on some, I'm going to create something for my own where I don't have to beg anybody for money or for platform and all of that. And he's done it.
And he's doing so.
And I'm hoping that inspires everybody. That inspired everybody. You know what? Yeah, it takes a lot of work. I mean, he didn't do it overnight. It takes a lot of work, but being in that auditorium with those 8,000 people, I don't think it's 8,000. I think they're exaggerating a bit. Maybe 7 or 7.5.
I mean, it's still a lot.
But it was a lot.
Yeah,
Look, it was a lot. It was a lot. Being in that room and, getting to see all these people being there to celebrate a black brother, to celebrate a black platform. The way people like Ghost Lady, they love her. They were screaming.
Wait, were they showing Ghost Lady at the event?
Well, she had a thing on her head, so she rapped whatever. Yeah. But it was beautiful. I'm not going to talk about the other stuff about proposals, whatever, because those are not that important. They've been covered enough. Yeah. I just think that it was important for us as a podcast that talks about the industry to actually acknowledge the importance and the significance of what McG has done. And the thing, there's a moment that I was so mad that I didn't capture on video because I wanted to post that, where he was introducing his team. And then he calls these people, I'm thinking maybe it's going to be like 6 or 7 people that are going to come on stage. Like a good 13 or I don't know how many people end up on stage, because it's a machine. It takes a lot of people to make this. So as you can see, in this room, we've got about 6 people that make this look like what you guys see at home. So yeah.
Also, isn't it with the numerous people that it introduced, isn't it because he has multiple podcasts under his network? So team for each and every podcast.
That too. He's got accountants and what. Like it's a fully fledged, from what I saw, it's a fully fledged business. I hope it's not. In South Africa, sometimes people like to exaggerate things and overinflate numbers and whatever. So I'm hoping what I saw is genuine, and those people are genuinely earning an income from the business. Because if that's the case, then wow.
It has a lot of views. They have to brands.
Yeah, look, I'm sure they are making good money, but McG himself has said it, just because you see a video with 7 million views doesn't mean that I've got 7 million paid into my account. You get what I'm saying? And it's hard. And the other thing that people forget is that unlike the other content creators around the world, for us, especially as black content creators, to get brands to believe in what we do and actually put money behind us, it's very difficult. It's not easy. That's why you see a lot of the time black content creators become famous and people think that they're making money, whatever.
Yeah, famous.
When in reality, they are not. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Because brands are not willing to come on board. I'm fortunate, that I've sustained my career simply based on brands. I think only 2 years when I was doing the show on Moja Love that I was actually making money on TV or outside of just brands. But generally in my career from day one, I make a living because of brands. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful for that. Yeah. So what are you watching?
What am I watching? There's a new telenovela called Sibongile and the Dlaminis. It's more like a South African Cinderella.
Yeah.
So basically, Sibongile is like a young girl. Young girl, she comes from I'm not sure if I can say she comes from a very poor background.
Yeah.
But I think she does, because she's struggling a bit to get to varsity and actually pay for her fees.
Yeah.
So she has a wicked stepmother and a stepsister. So there's a whole lot going on with that. The stepmother is just not, she's not keen on seeing Sibongile
succeed and all of that,
something big of herself. So she does by all means to actually sabotage her. So first episode, what she did is she actually opened up a letter which had Sibongile's application for bursary.
Yeah.
She actually got rejected for NSFAS.
Okay. Sounds like Cinderella story.
It is. Apparently, it's like an adaptation of a already existing TV shows.
Dream. Here we go again about adaptation. Hey.
I mean, our
where
shows,
are original ideas?
I mean,
Like
our
seriously.
shows get adapted to other African countries.
Yeah,
Why
be that
can't
as
we
it
do
may,
the
but
same?
we're still a young industry. Like, I mean, look, I was so excited when I actually watched that show that you recommended to me, Stout, and actually enjoyed it. You know, I love that. You know, you get what I'm saying? You know, original, local, you know, ideas and concept, whatever.
Maybe we're mixing, maybe trying to like
so is it worth a watch?
It's definitely worth the watch.
Yeah.
I'm just not happy with the cinematography of the
Oh, okay, because the quality is not.
it's not a par. It's not like up to standard with Umkhokha, because these are the same people who produced Umkhokha, Reading World.
Yeah.
So I'm actually proud of them with their growth, and I can't wait to see what Sibongile and Dlaminis does. And it seems like most of the new telenovelas that they're actually introducing are more of a 3 episodes per week.
Yeah.
Like The Wife.
Yeah.
Like what they did with The Wife. So most of them, like 1802 is like that. Sibongile and the Dlaminis are like that. So I'm not sure what the other telenovelas are going to be like.
Yeah.
So which is actually interesting to watch.
No, okay, cool. So I want to talk a little bit about this past week's episode of the Mummy Club, right? Look, I want to be very honest, because there's no other show or in that genre on TV. I feel like I've just been stuck on the show because I would have left it a long time ago. Because the same thing that I was complaining about from episode 1 are still happening. You get what I'm saying? So I would have left it. But this past week's episode kind of excited me a bit, because at least there was something happening. There was some drama.
Thabo Besta's in the mix right
you know,
there.
Thabo Besta, you know, xenophobia, you know, Nunurai coming in and just, you know, I really enjoyed it. But I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about is I don't understand why people sometimes are not self-aware. Because the one thing that Her Majesty complains about, the one thing that Her Majesty seems to be upset about, you know, when they're calling her a cloud chaser, is exactly what she is. And I tweeted about it, that this woman is obsessed with followers and trending and social media.
I saw the trailer for the next episode. She's like, I have a lot of followers. Maybe that's why you don't like me.
You get what I'm saying? And then where does the whole cloud chasing thing come from in our culture right now? When you say somebody's cloud chasing, it's when they, you know, cared more about social media than real life. That's when we use the term, you know, cloud chasing. I was interesting to find out the husband or the fiance is actually the father of her first child. So they actually did know each other. She didn't just go to Nigeria and bump into. It was very. Was I shocked? Nah, I wasn't shocked per se. You know, I was on some. Okay, you know what? Hey, I'm gonna get sued, hey guys. I don't have money. Okay. but I was excited about the episode. The episode did give Her Majesty is good TV. I'm gonna say something controversial, and I think some other people have tweeted about it, whatever. I think we all wanted Mrs. Mops to be the show, but unfortunately she is not. Her Majesty is carrying the show. I feel like Mrs. Mops is way too clean and too good. Like, even when she's being nasty, because there were moments when she was being nasty in this episode, right? It's still very, you know.
Can we call her the Surisha Naidu of?
Yeah, Surisha's first 3 seasons. Yeah, first 3 seasons. Because the last Surisha was of the Mummy Club. And I wish she could just I'm not mean she will never be a ratchet girl. It's not in her nature, you know, it's never gonna happen. But I don't know, I just wish, because you can see it's there, you know, there's a mean streak in Yana. I just wish that she could just let go, because what she's giving me right now, she's giving me Real Housewives. You know, and I don't want that. I want a different Mrs. Mops from what I saw. Go Real Housewives.
She's giving the same.
Yeah. I don't know why people don't like Miss Manche. People are saying that she's being fake.
She's two-faced.
But here's the thing, though: the very same people that are calling her fake because of the way she speaks love Mrs. Mops.
No, it's not necessarily how she speaks. It's
what she says.
It's the things she says and the things that she does.
Yeah.
So you say something, but your actions are contradicting what you say. So that on its own just says a lot about you, because now, let's say, and also I feel like she's holding back a lot. I feel like she's not giving us much on the show. I think I've mentioned it before.
Yeah.
I still feel like she's not telling us much as to what's going on. Hence why the show is mostly focused on Her Majesty, because she's more open and more free in how she does things on the show.
Yeah.
She has no filter. I mean, she says random things like "Ungqwela makaka." Like I never expected that. And then and the part where they were fighting with Nunurai, that was so hilarious.
Nunurai came guns blazing. I was so proud of her. Like I was like, damn girl.
Nunurai is very controversial and she likes stirring up things and just watching as they unfold. I think that's the thing about the question that she was asking. I think that was actually directed to Omuhle.
Yeah.
She was just afraid to say that, Omuhle, who's your baby daddy? Because remember, there's like articles before. So
listen, speaking of Omuhle, like this is part of the reason why I don't want actors and musicians or whatever to be on these random reality shows, because right now she will forever now be known as the xenophobic girl or the girl who said something about Bulawayo, about Zimbabwe.
Was it really xenophobic?
It was. Look, hello. What would be the point of bringing up Bulawayo if you were not trying to say that it is beneath South Africa?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, who's this guy? I was also, because similar things happened on Real Housewives of Joburg and the Mummy Club. Yeah. So there's a point where there's this Nigerian lady.
Yeah.
Mamus, so there's like an argument and stuff.
With Leon.
Yeah, with Leon. So Leon was like, you're not even from this country.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was xenophobic.
No, sir. Look. That what the Omuhle thing was very xenophobic. It was on some, you come from a poor country, what do you know about? You get what I'm saying? It was a clear xenophobic.
Gogomi was like thrown in the mix.
Yeah. There's another point when I was saying, Mrs. Mop so shady. On the side and
Zulu 10. That was
God. That was a lot. But yeah, but basically that was it. Look, I didn't watch Shaka ILembe. I'm looking forward to the next episode because I'm hearing that's when Ulemohang is gonna come as Shaka.
I was still enjoying the young Shaka.
Yeah.
I wish there were more episodes.
It seems like I'm the only person who's been rushing to get to the older Shaka.
No.
Okay, cool. While we're on that, okay, we'll come back to that because we've got a guest for this commentary. We don't usually do this, but we had to do this. Okay, so this week we're not reviewing any show. Instead, we invited a guest to come and clear a few things for us and educate us, and get to chill with us. We'll actually even talk about some shows with her since she's already here. Yeah. Right. So, how do I introduce her without punting? That magazine, Katlala, I love drama. Yeah. She is a journalist for Drum Magazine. Her name is Kia. Kia.
Hi, Phil.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Introduce your name properly.
Okay, Kalibito Keamogetswe Matlala. Because I really feel like I'm a princess.
Yeah.
I'm a princess in Yana.
Yeah.
So that's who I am. I'm a journalist. Would like to believe an all-rounded one at that. Yeah. I don't know. It's the question Yana tell me about yourself. Oh,
no. It's not about them. No, this is why I'm doing that because I want these people to know you've got credibility why you are here because what we're about to talk about it's very important. Okay. So obviously everybody in the country knows. So the stories are Jub Jub getting arrested, and having to go to court and being arraigned, and the whole court case and all of that, right? But out of that whole conversation that was happening on social media around that story, certain things stood out for me that I felt, you know what? I think it's about time now that I've got a platform for us to address this publicly because we've tweeted about this for years, guys, this happens because of, So I felt maybe if they hear it from a journalist, with credibility, with a body of work behind it, they will start believing it. So I want us to talk about why media outlets in the beginning were not saying Jub Jub's name and were only saying a rapper or a Mojala presenter and all of that.
Okay. I think let me touch first on the credibility part.
Yeah.
I'm a 2 times vet graduate.
Yes.
I have been honored and conferred with the Bachelor of Honor.
Oh, smell you.
Honors in journalism and media studies.
Mm-hmm.
And I started journalism in 2018.
Yeah.
So it's fairly half a decade or so. I started in radio and then moved on and then furthered my studies and now I'm in print. Cool. Coming to your question, so in terms of that, like any other profession, right? Yeah. We are bound to laws, we are bound to procedures, we are bound to councils, we are bound to boards. there are certain technicalities that go into the profession besides the practice itself.
Yeah.
I don't just wake up one day and decide I'm going to write a story.
Yeah.
I don't do that. You verify, you fact check, you go through your contact list. That is basically usually the first thing you basically do, right? Get what's out there, contact who you need to contact, and get confirmation, because we're not everywhere. In as much as it might look like from our stories that it might look like we're clued up in a lot of things, because then we do law, we are in court, the next day we're in protest, the next thing we're in politics, the next thing we're doing lifestyle, It looks like maybe we're clued up on all of these things, but to be honest, it takes research, right? So then if we're not gonna make sure that everything we take out there is accurate and fact checked, then we get into trouble.
Yeah.
In coming to Jub Jub's case, where now certain publications and some publications did not name Jub Jub as Jub Jub, and only named him when he basically was granted bail, unopposed bail, that is because we have what we call the Criminal Procedures Act of 1977. And from then on, ever since it was enacted, really, we are basically prohibited as the fourth estate of government, the fourth branch of government, and that is the media and everybody that really practices media, journalism and whatever. We are prohibited to name people before they plead in court, right? Before the court. And before the court actually decides, no, we're prosecuting here. But also, even with that, we consider public interest, because that goes above and beyond the standards of journalism. If there's a law in place and we basically weigh out the public interest and we see, no, please, if Ramaphosa is involved, we're naming there and there.
Let's take a step back.
Yes.
So there is a law that prohibits you guys to name a person before that person has pleaded or before a court of law, right? However, if there is an issue of public interest that you guys are looking at, then you're able to circumvent that law and just name the person? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So public interest...
So public interest supersedes...
Not has to, but we weigh it against the law, basically. And it's usually an editorial decision in the newsroom where we basically kind of sit down. We really don't have the time, mostly because deadlines and all of that. But it becomes an editorial position of whether or not the public interest precedes and over... Basically, it's over and above the law in this case, because we treat each case as it comes,
Okay.
And when it comes to the rape and the sexual assault cases, we treat them with the sensitivity that they deserve at all times. And so we also then consider the fact that in as much as this person is a suspect in a case, they still are citizens of the country, and therefore they have rights. They still have rights. And so in protecting the public interest, we also protect the person's rights. Not necessarily the person, because this might be taken out of context very easily, saying, oh, maybe we're protecting suspects. We don't. We just protect the rights
of a citizen.
Of a citizen. Any ordinary citizen, right? And then in the case of Jub Jub, what then happened is some publications did not
name
him until a point where he was granted bail. That is because you also want the police to confirm. And so when he handed himself over to the police, the statement that came out and what, because our journalist, another journalist, my colleague, Snazo Noto, did reach out to the police. And the only thing they could give us at the time is basically the fact that a rapper and a TV presenter. So now we're going above and beyond with something that we are also not sure of and certain to, because then if it happens that it wasn't him and we named him, he could easily sue us. And that is a whole big publication now facing a lawsuit Do you understand?
Yeah.
So and when it comes then to us going to court against, well, now we have a lawsuit against us, we have to provide evidence that we were certain that it was him, and we didn't have that.
Yeah. Oof.
So then, I wanted to ask, let's say I'm a media outlet, and I knew for a fact that it was actually Jub Jub who's actually going to court, and I posted his name. What are the repercussions? Is it do I get sued or?
I mean, it was him. It was revealed at the end of the day that it was him. So in this case, you would not get sued. But for you to be sure, you would have had an
Some inside info.
exact,
Oh.
an exact like confirmation how, oh no, it's definitely him. And Luena, only confident in your story to run with it, then run with it by all means necessary. But it's always safe. It's always really like preferred to be safe more than being sorry at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of just what laws are paramount and govern, journalism in South Africa? What are the 2 laws or maybe 3 laws that you would say, Jorge, when it comes to journalism in country, these are the laws that we as journalists cannot break, cannot whatever. What are those laws?
I would like to call them legal frameworks more than anything.
Oh, okay.
And the legal one, I'm probably just throwing it out there at this point. But we have the Press Code of Ethics.
Yeah.
And then we have the BCCSA. I mean, we know that. If you've watched ETV, you know that. And
it's not just ETV waiting. I know they promoted it more than everybody else,
because
but all
they've been
broadcasters
facing their own, but all broadcasters are bound to the BCCSA, and that is the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. And then we have the Press Code that we all journalists are basically bound to, because we all have copy. And then those ethics basically guide us in our everyday practice. We don't just go about and do what we love.
Yeah.
We stay safe. And like I said when I started, the same way doctors, lawyers, as well as maybe, I don't know, accountants have like their own guidelines and legal frameworks, and just frameworks really sometimes. We have to respect them to really preserve the dignity of our profession as well. Yeah. Because I mean, a doctor cannot just tell you.
Somebody, medical status. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so I also want to know this, Jorge. What happens now? Because yes, Jub Jub has been granted bail, so he's been before a court of law, so he's gonna go back to court. Are you guys allowed or able to interview him or try to get information from him, or or the other person in the case, or are you guys are not supposed to, because maybe that might influence how the case proceeds? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, in criminal cases, we reach out because we want to break out these stories.
Yeah.
Right? We want to inform. We want to tell all sides of the story.
Yeah.
However many. If it's 5 sides of the story, we are going for it, right? Because we want to keep our news and our basically articles and our work balanced, right? So in this case, I'm definitely sure that there are people reaching out. Yeah. There are certain journalists that have reached out, and but that line, they can't speak because they don't want to jeopardize the case, is usually what they tell us. Actually, that's what we get from them. But there are some people who, even as there are court proceedings in place, they are able to talk to us.
Yeah.
But in this case, because we haven't heard anything yet, so we haven't seen a headline yet of what Amanda maybe has said, or the victims, all the victims, because it's more than one now, have said, or what Jub Jub has said, or what the family said, is basically because they're trying to keep the case within the bounds of the court.
Yeah.
And we have to respect that until they are able to basically be open to interviews.
Okay. Do you have anything?
And then in regards to the case, because I remember, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it talked about or like from last year? So what happened? Did Amanda like open a case recently which led up to Jub Jub having to hand himself over. What actually happened? What transpired?
So far, what we know is that, and what has been confirmed by the police is basically that the case was opened in February 2022. And so ever since then, basically, there has been investigations, statements made, and all of that. And that is where now the other victims came to party and basically also opened their own cases.
Okay. So just stay on that a little bit so that, you know, people, because I saw some confusion on Twitter and we need to clear that up. So the case was opened in February, but the incident, is it the one year 2006, or people are conflating the two?
So no. The case was opened in February 2022.
Yeah.
After he appeared on
the McG podcast. Yeah.
Yes. But the matter is basically from 2006, between 2006 and 2009, when they were in a relationship. When, you know? So that's what we know. So it's basically what happened then. Yeah. Now a case being opened. And in the statement, it also does say that at the time, she also tried to open a case at Mondio police station. But at the time, he was
back in the relationship phase.
Yeah.
She tried to open a case, but wasn't able. Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, she did. But it really didn't go. She tried, actually. But it wasn't open because, you know, sometimes you go to the police station and you talk about a public figure and then it becomes a matter of... or like maybe fix your domestic issues, domestic affairs, and all of that. But they didn't go into detail on exactly what happened for the case to not officially be opened. But in the statement, it does say that she tried to open it at Mondio police station back at the time. So I saw the confusion was basically around the fact that why did she open the case now so long after it happened, you know? But so that's basically the backstory. She did try to open it back then, and then it didn't go as well as it did, I guess, now. And so that's why now it has gone far than just a docket, a police docket.
So Jabu wants to be a journalist.
Hectic.
Jabu wants your job. How does he get it? Like
I don't know. I think I personally I didn't have a guideline. I didn't have anyone around me to really stir me in the direction of, oh, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. And I don't think there's also like a set path to it. But I'm going to tell you how I did it. So how I did it was 2018. I was doing my matric. Prelim times, I had, you have those gaps where you're not really going to school and all of that. And then I see a TUT FM audition poster. They're like, we are open to newsreaders. Yeah. I was like, I think I have the voice. And I've always just admired, what newsreaders do when you're listening to a radio station and there's music, there's the happening, and then you come to a point where it's just and then you're informed, and then they grab your attention with what's basically happening. And I've always been a very nosy kid. So I was like,
it's actually true that people go for journalism, but
don't put it like that. It's just a me thing. But no. I feel and I believe that you have a neck for ditaba, what you rata, and you're curious and you ask questions, because that's really the essence of our work. We question, we hold to account, we inform, we educate. And so that's what I did. I went for the audition. I was supposed to know Sepedi, and I just got there, English, and they were just like, ma'am, Mrs. Ma'am. No. They gave me a newspaper, English, and they basically asked me to translate it in Sepedi. No, I failed. But they loved my voice. They loved how I presented myself, how I presented the news and all of that, and how I really approached it. And then I was given a chance. I did that for the duration of that year and a little bit of the following year when I went back home in Pretoria around June, July-ish. But at that time I was already kind of like this side for school. And then when I came back after the July break, I was just like, I want to do this more often, And then I knocked at the door of VOW FM, Voice of It FM.
Yeah.
And I found that I actually slid in the DMs to the station manager at the time, Shosho Ku, right? She's now at 702. And I knocked at her door in her DMs, and I basically said, yeah, I want to do this. And she was like, come through.
Yeah.
I knocked at the door one random day, and she was like, yeah, actually, I've been waiting for you. Just go record a demo in there. And then I got on my demo, and then I think she listened to it, and she was like, okay, cool. Get into the newsroom. They're going to train you. And I got my training, and I think a month down the line, I was on air. It was actually this month, August 9, I remember. Nobody was available to do the bulletins on the day. They were all off. And she was like, okay, cool, let's go. And I've never looked back ever since. I've been from Voice of It FM. I've been a current affairs show producer called Breaking Ground. It's a current affairs show there that airs every Wednesday in the evenings. And then I went to become a news reporter, field reporter, and also anchoring. And then I went to YFM during the local government elections in 2021.
Yeah.
And then I did YFM commercial for the first time. Loved it. I love being in the field. Oh my God, the protest, the mzabalazo gintotaga. And then I decided after I graduated last year from my undergrad, 2021, I decided I don't want to stop here. I want to do this. And I went for my honors. And then I was part of the Vuvuzela team 2022. And then I specialized in radio. And then I got Drum Magazine. Last year, they basically sponsored me. Media 24 sponsored me for my my studies last year, my honors studies last year, and then they took me in this year. So that's basically been my journey. So I don't know if you're gonna take the same route, but I always advise people to not wait for the day they basically qualify or wait for the day.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that you can ever do.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't wait for the day you qualify.
Start knocking on doors the day you decide you want to be in that field.
Thank you very much. The very next morning, you decide, I want to do this. Just go knock on doors, and you won't get a paying job from the first take. You won't.
Listen, I was at TVSA for 3 years drinking. Was not making money. I was not getting paid, but I knew that being there was important for me to build my own contact list. Was important for me to kind of get to know the industry and whatever.
And skills.
Yeah,
it's also about you developing in the craft, so that by the time you go out there, you saw.
Yeah.
And look at you now.
Hey.
The growth.
Anyway, this episode will be so long.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to? So for me, I missed the past episode until Shaka ILembe, obviously, like I said. But the funny thing that I stopped us earlier on and said I wanted us to come back to it with her in the conversation, because earlier on when I was talking to her, it seems like she and I had different expectations of the show, right? I watched the show because of Shaka, so I was impatient. Remember I was telling you in one of our episodes.
You just wished I could get.
Can we just get to to Shaka, whatever? She on the other side said something very interesting to me when she was like, she was much more interested in Nandi's story and it sometimes I was like, actually, we all know the Shaka story, Imagine if it had been like a season of Nandi and a season of Shaka.
I think that would have been perfect also. They probably don't want to create separate seasons because maybe there isn't enough stories to tell about Nandi.
Yeah.
Maybe there's like a limitation to it. Hence why they would never do specific seasons for specific characters.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. But I can't wait to see what happens. A lot of things that I didn't know are shocking me when I watch the show.
Yeah.
Like Portuguese people, like Portuguese who
but
mix
2000,
shit song,
you guys don't know anything.
we do. Yeah, we do. So it's actually interesting. watching the whole storyline unfold,
Mm.
not just specifically Nandi's storyline, but how colonization happened, slavery, and everything else. It's actually interesting to watch. So I can't wait. Hopefully they get to the, I doubt this is part of it.
Mm.
I thought they would get to like the Anglo-Boer War. So I think that's like a separate show. That's like another story.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're getting there. So I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait for Lemogang Tsipa.
I can't. Yo. I'm a huge fan of Lem. Like I love that guy. You know, and I want to see him in this role. You know,
I
and then
want him to prove those people wrong that he can actually speak Sizulu.
Oh, okay.
Remember, those,
yeah.
How can you take a Sutu person to come and play a whole Zulu king and whatever? So I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
But in the process. But yeah, we earlier on we did speak about it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know. I think what hooked me at first was the fact that from the very first episode, you get to see the love story behind the great Shaka. You know how he was basically a product of love. Right? And I think when I saw her, it's getting a bit rushed. I was like,
was it love or lust though?
Yeah, I saw it.
That's another thing. But it's those questions that we can't really answer because we didn't get the gist of the relationship enough to even make the conclusion.
And I also think Don's character, what's her name?
Nandi. Mkabai.
Yeah. I think there's something there. There's a story there that just needed to be, fully fleshed and stretched out, because she's amazing in that role. But also at the same time, I feel like that story is much more interesting as well. To be a female, in that kind of way, you've got power, but it's not really power. It's soft power because the men, are the ones. You live in a patriarchal society where even if you are the eldest, even if you are the wisest, or whatever, it's the men that will always, rule above you. Guys, I don't want this to be too long. Breaking news, Barking, Monjuma Koba is joining Nikki Ware. She's going to be playing
Bongane's long lost brother.
Yeah. So Masibi's son, basically, right?
Yeah, we didn't even know that Masibi has another son.
Yeah, we didn't. Well. Remember we talked about the fact that there's gonna be changes on the show, whatever. So I'm thinking that maybe they feel correct.
Maybe he's gonna take.
Listen, we complained that Masibi carries the show, but she's not given. Whatever. Maybe this is them expanding Masibi's world, so that at least
I hate the fact that she actually had her current storyline is that she had like a stroke.
Yeah.
So I don't like that.
No, I don't think that's gonna last for long. I mean, she can be sick. Yeah. She's the show. What I mean? She's gonna be coming on there. Do you have anything else that we don't know?
Nothing else. I'm just trying out new shows. Been binge watching Love Island UK.
Yeah.
And there's this new comedy series on Apple TV, Platonic. It has Seth Rogen on it. It's actually hilarious. It's basically about it's like a female friend and a male friend. They're just showing you that a male and a female can actually be friends without any sexual thing going on.
All right.
So yeah.
Sissy, before we let you go and say bye-bye to the people, any show that you want to recommend to my people?
Nalo and I, we are in the same boat because Lynn binge watch her, the Mummy Club.
Yeah.
I'm so invested in it. I know. It's a nice one. It's a nice one. I'm also not a TV person.
Yeah.
So, I know. Oh, but this past weekend I did watch Rosa.
Yeah.
On Netflix. I also tried to watch Big Nunu's Little Heist, but at some point I ended up falling asleep.
Yeah.
Because I was just too tired on the day that I chose to watch it. But yeah, those local productions, I really love them. So proud of Pop-Ups. He's in both of them.
Yeah.
So
cool.
The
Masked Singer is now on Netflix as well. So go binge watch that if you haven't been watching it on SABC. And I think next week our review will be on the new telenovela. I'll try and watch so that we can, have much more. The telenovela Mzansi called Sibongile and what? And Dlaminis. Sibongile and the Dlaminis. Love you guys. We'll see you next week. Sharp.
Thank you. Yeah.